Hello, I'm Dick.
And I'm Eric, and we're the Annuity guys.
Eric, pensions are really in trouble. They're in the news a lot, whether it's government pensions, municipalities, federal government, state government. Some of these states are in terrible condition.
Yeah. I'm thinking the next word for the Webster's Dictionary is going to be unfunded pension. It's just going to become a singular word, unfortunately, because that's what we hear in the news all the time, is what the problems are going on with pensions around.
Well, and corporate pensions, they're under incredible stress. They're up against new rules that are going into play. Yeah. They're up against new mortality tables that are
people are living longer,
right? And so we're in unprecedented times with low interest rates, unpredictable, volatile type returns, and a lot of the benchmarks they use for these plans fallen so short that when we even look at the Pension Guarantee Association and all that they've had to pay out, I say, pension guarantee, whatever.
It's not normally one of the groups we're working with, yeah.
But it's down about $60-some billion.
Yeah, unfunded.
Yeah, unfunded.
The insurance for the pension fund is unfunded.
Right. So the whole world, in fact, in this area is going in the wrong direction. So when we start thinking about folks that are offered these buyouts,
right,
as compared to maybe buying a commercial, keeping their pension or taking a buyout. And then with that buyout, the question is, what do? Do we manage our own investments, or do we buy an annuity?
And it really comes down personally. I mean, people are having, and I should say, we've got a specific client I was talking with this week that really was torn because she had a much better pension opportunity that if
she took her regular payments on her pension,
she's going through a corporation merger, and all of a sudden the pension fund's a little bit now unsteady, and so they gave her the option of saying, well, here's the buyout. And in her conversation with the guarantee people, it was literally, they said, you're going to take a lot less with a lump sum buyout, but if you take the guarantees, there's a good chance that your pension may start out right, but if it has to go into the guarantees association, there's a good chance that's going to be reduced because there's a significant amount of underfunding. Now,
right.
So what the lesson learned here is know your pension. If you're offered a lump sum, if you're offered these opportunities, know what the risks are.
Look at how much of your pension is unfunded. If basically they're underfunded by 80% or underfunded by 20%, I guess I should say, or 50%. There's a good possibility, and this is what really gets folks. They believe that their pension is guaranteed. I mean, it's just a common thought that my pension is guaranteed. They don't realize that those benefits could be severely reduced.
Yeah.
If it starts running out of money.
Right. Now, and the corporations can't just walk away from their pension fund.
Right.
Now, if they file bankruptcy, that's a whole different
There's
deal.
some ways they can...
That's where they basically end up offloading and...
to the pension guarantee.
Yeah, put it into conservatorship, basically, where they're going to take on the obligations with whatever dollars are there.
Mm-hmm.
So
let's just talk about, if folks have a buyout option, and we'll just make the assumption
everything's good.
Everything's good, yes, exactly. And they compare that to maybe considering an annuity or investing it themselves. How can they decide? There's a lot of factors that come into this, not just pure math.
Sure.
Some of it's pure math.
Well, you usually start out with the apples for apples comparison.
Yes.
If you're offered a single life, basically pension plan payout, what's the single life immediate annuity payout that would start at the same time, same benefits? Look and see what those kind of match up with on the commercial sale. So if you're buying it there, that's step one.
And most of the time, what we find, it isn't every time, so I have to be careful with this. You should always check out your own individual situation, folks. But Eric, most of the time what we find is that if they keep their pension, it's going to pay more than if they took the lump sum and bought a commercial annuity, because that company's on the hook for paying out a predetermined benefit.
Exactly, and usually it's based off some formula of work history and salary and that. 99.7%, I'm going to give myself a little margin, the company benefits better. Now, there are other factors that come into play, though. Sometimes you don't have a joint option with
or the joint option's not a very good one.
Right, it's reduced, and so looking at, if you want to protect your spouse, maybe that's where a lump sum buyout and then being able to purchase an annuity that gives you protection that's more valuable to you as a family unit makes more sense. That's usually one of the things that comes into play. Another thing is, you've got a short life expectancy.
Exactly.
You've got some kind of health problem or something of that nature where you're not long of this world. It doesn't make sense to trade down.
Right, because you're going to lose it all
when you pass.
So you could take the lump sum and either make use of it, invest it, pass it on.
Exactly.
Another thing that comes up, Eric, is some people are really blessed with a nice income. They've already got a nice income from various sources. And so they could take that lump sum. They can invest it somewhat aggressively.
Right.
They can pass it on.
Right.
Some folks just want control of their money. They want to know that if I get in a situation, is there a way I can get back at this money? And that's where you kind of set up your own personal pension using that lump sum.
Yeah, you may have guaranteed sources from other pensions or Social Security that are going to provide enough income that you can take a lump sum buyout from the last piece and basically have more flexibility in that plan. So,
what about folks that think, well, I'll take that lump sum and I'll just invest it?
Well, there's nothing wrong with that if, and that's the big if you're willing to ride out the market risk. You're going to then take on one piece that's probably wasn't in the plan before. You had the guaranteed income stream, and now you're taking on that degree of market risk, and that's where we always like to say, hey, let's cover the foundational income need. And then, then you can be aggressive and be
exactly
just like we were saying with the pension.
Exactly.
Having the pension allows you to be a little bit more aggressive with the rest of the assets.
Well, and again, from our own field observations, most people that reach the age of 50, 55, on upwards of 65 or 70, they want to offload that risk at this point in their life.
Yes.
They want someone else to handle it. And this is where the annuity companies come in, so good, because you're put in a pool of folks your age that have varying life expectancies, and so again, it mitigates that risk of living too long and running completely out of money.
Yeah, it's been an interesting topic for us to look at when we talk about the weighing pensions versus annuities, because typically we would say pensions have the richer benefits, and I think right now with today's economic conditions, you're starting to see some of the effects of having richer benefits. Companies trying to get out of them, really offering these buyout plans.
Yes.
And insurance companies, the benefits aren't as rich, but I guarantee you they're much more safe.
Much more stable, exactly.
Exactly.
So I think that's comes back to one of the other big factors that we talked about initially. And so even though the math many times is really tilted in the favor of taking the pension benefit, the ultimate decision after an individual looks at their entire situation of the joint payouts, their spousal situation, looks at control of the money, looks at the condition of the company. All of a sudden, instead of 99% of them taking that, it probably drops down to about half of them choose an alternative route to take the lump sum and manage it either through an annuity or partial investments themselves.
Right. It's taking, as we say,
Right.
looking at the whole situation and picking what works best for you.
And I would say, just as an aside, comes back to planning, and we talk about it all the time. But if you don't work with a good planner that helps you to really discover all of these variables and make a good decision, you get yourself in some trouble.